Welcome back to Good Day Tampa Bay. It is Ask a Lawyer Day here on Fox 13, giving you a chance to call in. They're calling and get some of your legal questions answered for free, of course. And today, attorney Dale Appell has some answers to some pretty good questions that people are having
about Uber and
ride sharing. Everyone is calling Uber these days and Lyft and all that kind of stuff. So there's some interesting issues about that as far as if you get into an accident. So let's start there.
Right. I mean, the concern is what happens if you get into a vehicle with an Uber driver and that driver, is he covered by insurance? If you get into an accident, will he cover your medical bills and so forth? That's one of the questions, and the answer is in Florida, we're a no-fault state. So in a no-fault state, your insurance has got to cover the first $2,500 up to $10,000 in medical bills.
Okay.
So that's a given, no matter whose car you're in.
Okay.
Your rates can't go up, fortunately, if you're in that situation. The law says that. So PIP covers you initially. The other thing is what happens if it's a catastrophic type injury, you know, and you have significant wage losses, you have medical bills that go way past $10,000, or if there's catastrophic injury, pain and suffering, who pays for that? And initially, Uber and ride-sharing companies wanted the driver to be responsible, and they just made sure that the driver had insurance.
Okay.
But the driver's insurance company said, well, wait a minute. We gave him insurance for personal use, you know, day-to-day use.
Commercial.
Not for commercial use. So we're not covering this. So as a result, just recently, you know, last year or two or so, these ride-sharing companies like Uber bought a policy that covers all the drivers. And that policy is supposed to be pretty big. It's $1 million policy available. So when you get into a car with an Uber driver, you can feel comfortable that there's some coverage available, at least today. I mean, the world's changing very quickly.
It could change any time.
It's a wild west of things. But now it's a lot safer to drive with your Uber driver as far as insurance coverages are concerned than asking your next-door neighbor for a ride because you don't know what insurance they have.
But there are some limits to this, right?
There are some limits. I mean, one of the issues is, well, what happens if you get into an accident? Can you bring the driver in? If the driver's responsible or at fault, what happens in those situations? And potentially you can try to pursue that driver's policy, but as I say, those insurance companies may not cover it. The other issue is what happens if you're hit by somebody else? Your driver's not at fault, but somebody hits the driver, the car that you're in. Well, what happens in that situation? Well, here, you're again better protected than if you ask your neighbor for a ride or a friend, because not only did the ride-share companies, at least Uber, get $1 million in bodily injury coverage, but they also bought $1 million in what's called uninsured motorist coverage. So there's a lot of drivers out there who don't have bodily injury insurance.
So I may want to rethink asking Russell to take me to the airport and maybe spend a couple extra dollars and call Uber just in case.
There you go.
Now, you also mentioned, well, what if that Uber driver or that Lyft driver is, you know, circling around waiting to pick up a passenger?
Yes.
There's a little issue there as well.
There is an issue there, and that's because Uber says, well, you know, we've got insurance for the driver and the passengers. If he's got a passenger, he's going to pick up a passenger or a passenger's in the vehicle. Got it covered. That's what our insurance policy says. But what happens if that driver's waiting around for a fare, waiting at the international airport, and somebody drives and rear ends him? Who covers that insurance? And so, you know, Uber's saying, well, let your insurance cover that. And the Uber's driver saying, well, my insurance says I'm on the clock. Maybe I don't have a passenger in my vehicle, but I'm still working. I still had to go into the app to see when someone's going to come. And in those situations, no one knows what's going to happen. Now, apparently, there's insurance companies that are now looking at the situation as an opportunity and say, you know, maybe we can provide a commercial type policy to these drivers. But I don't know how many insurance companies are going to do that, how much they're going to charge these Uber drivers. So right now, there's this area right there where there may be a no coverage anywhere, and the Uber driver, if he gets hurt in an accident as a result of somebody else being at fault, may have a problem trying to get his medical bills paid for and so forth.
So right now, when that person is deciding, should I call, am I safer in a cab or am I safer in a ride-sharing service?
It's a great question, but actually, it's difficult to know. The cab companies are required to have insurance for their vehicles and their drivers. You don't know how much that policy is.
That's true.
And so, but there is a insurance that they have to then show the state and say, oh, we deserve licensing as a cab company because we have insurance. So they've been covered like that for years, decades. That's how it's been going. At least here, you have announcements that supposedly Uber has this $1 million policy. Who knows? They could change it to $500,000 and so forth.
Sure, but at least we know right now.
We know right now now that there should be this coverage available to you. So as far as insurance coverages are concerned,
Yeah.
you know, Uber seems to have you as well protected, Lyft and so forth, the rideshare companies, as cab companies. I don't know that for sure. Things change rapidly, but currently it seems you're definitely safer than using your neighbor.
Than using the neighbor or Russell.
Yeah.
Although Russell's a very safe driver.
I'm sure.
Dale, always so nice to talk to you. Thank you, guys. Thank you
Pleasure.
all so much for coming in this morning.